Good morning everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I know I promised a video on our solar system, but we once again ran into a couple issues with installing it. We needed to get some extra parts, and then we had the wrong parts, and then, well, you know how it goes. We are very lucky that a couple of months ago a British couple moved into the area, and he used to install big solar systems. So he's been helping us with installing everything, and we're very happy about that because he knows what he's doing. But then, yeah, we still had some issues, so hopefully we will resolve them soon. But I wanted to make just one video about the whole thing and not do it in parts. So this morning, excuse the noise in the background, but that's life on the countryside. People chop wood, use chainsaws, so it's a little bit noisy, but I wanted to give you a little tour of how the garden is doing. I'm actually quite happy about how everything is doing. Last summer we kind of had a false start because it was so late in the season and nothing really worked out, but now everything is doing quite well, I think. So I'll show you around, see what I planted, see what I built, and then if I have time I'll also show you some of our fruit trees. In this first row I planted tomatoes, as you can see there in the back, and then I thought there will be nice shade for these pumpkins. I'm planting 4 types of pumpkins, and I have to be honest, I'm not really checking which ones I plant where, so it's gonna be a surprise what comes up from it, but these will be a nice ground cover, and then the tomatoes can be a little bit higher. After a first bit of transplant shock, they're now doing pretty well. I've been feeding them a little bit of nettle fertilizer, and with some of them extra ones are coming up, so I'll be thinning them out a little bit soon and keep, I think, 2 maximum per hole. And then these little ones are really big pumpkins, and we got the seeds from one of the men in the village, so that's really exciting, and I think they're a good pumpkin for storage. And then in the bed here also I made this little shade covering. As I mentioned before, the idea is that you plant lettuce in the middle, and then I'll be planting some more cucumbers on the side, and they can climb up it, and they will provide shade for the lettuce in summer. But for now the pellets will also give the lettuce some shade. So I think I planted about 50 heads of lettuce, and I planted them quite close so that we can just pick them as we eat them. And then in the final end of this bed we have the spaghetti squash. They're really growing every day. They're looking quite healthy, so that's nice. And the one on the end here is even starting to flower, so that's pretty good. In the next bed over we have the watermelons. I planted them about 2 weeks ago, I think you saw it in a video. As you can see, the leaves are not all looking very good. From what I've read, it could be that we have clay soil and they don't like lots of water standing, and it can stand a little bit here, but I do see that they are starting to crawl, and I've seen some flowers as well, so I'll keep them for now and see what comes from it. Maybe I'll give them some extra feed. This morning I did also plant some more little melons. Again, I'm using them as a ground layer with the tomatoes. So in this row I have some tomatoes in the middle, and then I have some of the melons on the bottom here. there an orange cantaloupe type melon. So we'll see what comes from it. So we have more tomatoes, and then over here we have the really exciting stuff. At least that's what I think. So this is one of the courgettes that I've planted very early, and that survived the last couple cold days, and as you can see it's starting to produce as well. They're just a light green courgettes and an early producer, so that's really good. And all the other courgette plants are really pumping out the leaves right now, so I think they'll start producing soon as well. And then the tomatoes here in the middle continue. And then here in the other bed we have some more pumpkins that are really starting to produce more leaves as well. So the row of tomatoes is actually doing quite well. What I have noticed is that these plants here in the beginning, they get a lot more shade than the other ones, so they're still a little bit smaller. But as you can see, especially here, they're really starting to grow quite well. I've started to put the rope around the stems so they can start climbing, and especially in the end here lots of them are starting to flower, so that's really good. And then here the green beans are recovering quite well. This one is not, but some of them are starting to flower as well. They're just starting to develop some buds here and there, and then because they're quite they're a little bit smaller than I thought, and because I wanted to cram in a lot more food, as you can see yesterday here I started to plant just direct seed some more just in between where there was enough room. So as I mentioned in a video last week, I'd kind of been struggling with some of the planning for the potatoes. What I've decided to do is, for the one row I had planned to keep for storage, I'm gonna keep them in as long as I want, and then I'm just gonna take out a couple, start planting the pumpkins that I wanted there, and then once the potatoes are ready we can just take them out, hopefully without too much trouble. And then the other row of potatoes I'm being a little bit more rigorous of taking them out, because I've started to plant some aubergines there. I've got two types, the Black Beauty ones and the lighter purple with white stripes. I'm not sure the name. So I've started to plant them as well. And then the idea is, because we're trying some different watering methods this year, is that we're going to dig a trench, and because the clay soil, the water should be able to run down the whole bed, and then we can just water it from one end and not walk all the way down. And the idea is that because you get to pour in a lot more water, it really seeps into the soil, and that gives the plants a lot more water than when you're just using a hose. It's an old Portuguese style of watering, so instead of already investing in drip irrigation like many of our friends are doing, we just decided to try this way because we do have good soil for that. We also have the last of the peas. I'm starting to take out the lines that we had for them to climb up on, because I need to make room for the next for that trench as well as for the other plants. So I've started to take them out, but in the end they were quite productive as well. And next year the idea is to put at the end of summer, throughout the winter, to have some beds next to the yurt. It really is a couple degrees difference between here and there, because it's a little bit higher, and then hopefully I can start the favas and the peas and stuff like that a lot sooner in spring. In this bed as well, I have another cucumber trellis with the lettuce underneath. I'm actually quite excited to see how it goes. It'd be really nice to have some good lettuce throughout the summer. So I think I planted about 50-60 plants in total. So we'll see how it goes, and I'll keep you updated on that. But if anything, we'll have lots of cucumbers growing from them. Next up, I want to show you some of the fruit trees and how they are doing, and tell you some of the ways that we are hoping to get them through the summer. They are young trees. We planted them in October, November, just when the rains started coming. So we didn't water them throughout the winter. Most of them were dormant anyway. And now, because it's starting to get so hot, we're watering them once a week. So I'm not going to show many olive trees today, but I did want to show you this one. This is the big one in the garden. As you can see, we pruned it quite heavily a couple weeks ago. You saw the beginning of that in one of my videos. But it had it had a good amount of blossom. So as you can see here, it's starting to form little olives as well. This is a large green type of olive, the Galician olive. You can use them in the oil, but they're most delicious if you just put them in a salt brine for a couple of weeks, and then you can just eat them. So this is the terrace below the yurt. That's our toilets. And over here we planted the fruit trees that we got in October, as well as a couple over there. Let me walk you to that one. So over here we planted hazelnut and some apple and some nectarines. And even though this is a tiny tree, it's already bearing some fruit. We did take off a couple so that the little energy that it has, it will give to those fruits, and then hopefully we can have some soon. I think Brooke would like that. And then most of the trees that we got were about a year old, so only some small sticks, but these are Asian pears, and they were already a little bit bigger. They also had lots of blossom, and this year we'll have 1 or 2 fruits from them. Nee, laat maar hangen. Just a couple, but it's more than nothing, so that's good. And then, so the idea for this terrace is to have a little bit as a food forest. So the first step that we took for that is the fruit trees. We went to a local nursery and got many different varieties. Here there are some more apples, I think. And then here as well we have blood oranges, which is really exciting. This year I didn't eat any of them, even though it's always my favorite season. The blossom on these is absolutely delicious. It smells so good, so sweet. I don't think we'll have much fruit from them this year. This year the focus is on getting them through summer. So one thing we did for that is to mulch them with straw. I think we'll need to do another layer of that, just to thicken it up for the summer. And that helps prevent evaporation of the water that you give them. This is actually one of my favorite terraces. Martin did actually mow the whole terrace like 2 weeks ago, but then it started raining again and everything just grew back like crazy. So we have 2 blood oranges here. We have many olive trees. These are doing well. We did a heavy prune on them, so they won't give a lot of fruit this year, but next year they should be recovered from that. And then we have some cork oak as well. In the corner here we have 4 blueberry bushes that we planted a while back. They're doing okay, they're growing. Can't really see the difference because everything is still green. There they are. They're growing. I put some pine needles as a mulch because they like acidic soil. And then these 2 here do have a little bit of fruit, which is again better than nothing. But in the next couple of years we're going to add more. And these will grow obviously, so then we can really start doing some jams and just freeze them for porridge and stuff. And then here in this corner we have some more olive trees, of course, and then just different apricots, plums, some more. I don't think these are apples. As you might notice, we did not write down what we actually planted, where, because we didn't really know. We just got a whole bunch of sticks from the nursery and just put them in the ground. And then finally over here we have some raspberry bushes, some red ones. Those are the red ones, and then we have some yellow ones as well. And they're really delicious. As you can see, the grass needs another trim, as well as trim the whole olive field over there. Because the grass is getting quite tall, and it will be better if it's shorter, and then all the cut grass can be a type of mulch, and then the ground can start to recover more. So I'm gonna end the video here. It's probably enough rambling about my plants and about my trees, but I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, do let me know with a thumbs up, and in the comments share with me which summer fruit you are most excited about. Personally, I can't wait for the tomatoes, but I guess you can be excited about other things as well. So if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. If you would like to support me making these videos and us working this farm, you can also find the link for my Patreon down below. There will be a video on Sunday. I'm not gonna promise anything about any subject anymore, but I do hope to see you then.